Welcome back, nerds. Today we've got brand new Hogwarts Legacy information to go over, and it was so much fun getting to watch it be unveiled live. For those who don't know or don't feel like watching the entire official Hogwarts Legacy video, there was a nearly 1 hour long gameplay showcase with the guest host, James Whitehead, aka one half of Expecto Go, where they showed off in great detail character customization, a tour of Hogwarts Castle itself, and how the battle mechanics work for fighting. We've got a whole lot to go over, so if you're excited to have some new Hogwarts Legacy information to cover, go ahead and stupefy that like button, but without further ado, we'll go ahead and get straight into it. Kicking it off with character customization, I'll kind of breeze through this section because at its core, there's not a ton to cover, even though I know I'll be spending plenty of time on the screen once the game comes out. You start off by choosing a character that's roughly what you want to look like, that you can then customize on the following screens. I'd definitely say this looks a little better than a lot of the other character customization screens in some of the other games that I've played. This one really gets into the different subtleties that make up an individual person's face. Face shape is usually something that's included, but there are a lot of options to choose from with a wide variety of differences. You can also subtly change the skin color, eye color, as well as add a selection of eyeglasses and facial features such as scars and freckles. Then you can go into hair, which again, lots of variety there as well. They did mention later in the presentation that you can change certain aspects of your character later on. Things like glasses and outfits you'll unlock throughout the story, and you can equip those when you see fit. There will also be a barber in Hogsmeade, so once you unlock that part of the game, you'll presumably get access to that. This last section here is where a lot of us thought you'd pick your Hogwarts house, but it turns out that's not the case. This is where you'll pick your tone of voice, which you can see has two different options that you can slightly alter the pitch of, giving you a total of at least 10 different voice options. Then we've got the gameplay difficulty, where you can choose the standard easy, normal, and hard modes, but there's also story mode, which will be for people who don't feel like they're very good at video games. They didn't go into detail about what exact differences that makes, but if I had to guess, I'd say it probably cuts out a lot of the action sequences where it falls on the user to fight their way out. Now getting into the thing we're all most excited about, the tour of Hogwarts Castle. Now they do mention that what they show is just a fraction of what the castle actually has to offer, but what they did show was absolutely mind-blowing. So they start off in the Hufflepuff common room, and this is by far the most detailed look we get at this particular common room, and they do it in such a casual way, like they aren't actively blowing all our minds. They start in the Hufflepuff common room because if you didn't know, Expecto Go, probably the most popular content creator in the Hogwarts Legacy niche. He's a Hufflepuff, so they gotta represent, but they do a little walkthrough of the dorm room itself, and then they do a casual stroll through the common room. I'll do a full breakdown of the common room in another video, but real quick, I just want to point out a few things. One, if you follow the Hogwarts Legacy subreddit Harry Potter game, you'll know there's an ongoing joke that fans want too much from the game, and someone was hoping for bedside table customization. Now, Chandler Wood didn't confirm that that's a thing, but he did bring attention to the nightstand, stating that he loves the bedside table, which is kind of hilarious. But the next thing I want to bring attention to is the UI down here at the bottom, the user interface. It's got the spells and stuff over here, as well as a mini-map, which they did confirm you can turn on and off for anybody who wants to play the game like that. I, for one, am one of those people. I will likely turn the minimap off at least most of my gameplay, just so I can experience Hogwarts as any other normal student would. They go over the HUD a little bit here, but they really get into depth with it in the third part of the showcase when they discuss battle mechanics, so I'll cover it then. The last thing I want to cover while we're still in the Hufflepuff common room is the music. I'm not sure if it was confirmed before or not, but they do confirm that the music in each of the common rooms is different, and it'll give each playthrough a slightly different feeling depending on which house you choose. Next up, we see them walk out of the common room into the hallway we see in the Hufflepuff common room video, and they walk over to these barrels where we previously saw a little glimmer of what we thought might be a ghost, but it's actually an opportunity to use a spell here, Revelio. A new mechanic called the Field Guide takes place throughout the game. Since you start the game as a 5th year, this serves as an opportunity to quote-unquote catch you up, and they've got useful tidbits of information. They said there are over 100 pages to collect in and out of the castle alone, which are 100 opportunities to learn and discover things about the world around you, and they are categorized as you can see here. As we make our way up the stairs from the Hufflepuff common room, we walk past a statue of a lion, and it makes me think that the common rooms are all very close to the Great Hall, which would make a lot of sense from the gameplay point of view. It didn't really seem that way in the books though, so we'll see how it turns out in the game. Over here is the Great Hall, and we don't get a look at it in this video, but we do get a look at the entryway, and we can see the 4 house hourglasses that hold the gemstones that keep track of house points. They did say that house points would be part of the narrative of the game, but it wouldn't really have any influence on gameplay, so basically it's there in the story, but you don't necessarily interact with it in any way. They do that with some of the other elements of the wizarding world as well. Things like gobstones and wizard's chests aren't going to be playable in the game, but they do get mentioned and brought up from time to time. We also get a better idea of how the Floo network will work. As you walk into a new area, there may be a Floo flame, and it'll automatically unlock the ability to fast travel to that point once you walk by. As the main character collects another field guide page by using Accio, we get a very detailed look at his wand, and I am so pleased to see that it isn't the default wand. This is really the first look at gameplay rather than cutscenes, where we see someone using a wand that's different from this one that we've seen in so many trailers, something that I personally was very worried about. We get our first look at the entryway to the library, and man, it just looks so good, honestly. Like, I can't wait to get to explore the castle myself. The ambient music as they're walking through is so stunningly Harry Potter, and as I watch this, it reminds me a lot of the Wizarding World at Universal Studios. If any of you have been there, the subtle background music as you walk around Hogwarts is just spot on. We get our first look at a couple of side quests and a little more in-depth look at how the dialogue will work. The side quests will have a wide variety of things that they'll be helpful for and make you do. Mainly they'll be good for exploring the castle and learning new secrets about it. The second one they show us talks about gobstones, which again we can't play, but it's good that it gets some representation in the game itself. We're looking at the defense against the dark arts hallway here, and I must say it is looking good. Look at those flying buttresses. We do get a pretty good look at the DADA classroom itself, but I'll go over that a little bit more in depth in another video. But one thing to take away from this section of the presentation is classes are technically kind of optional. They say that the overarching story of the whole game can kind of be broken up into chapters. I think they're kind of saying sitting in the classroom will sometimes be mandatory, but outside of that, you can choose to do other things during your time. If you do choose to go to class, however, you can learn new spells and get helpful tools for the game that you otherwise might not get. As they finish up the little tour of the castle, we have a nice seamless transition to the battle mechanics section of the showcase. In the clock tower that we're familiar with from the books and movies, there's a little secret, not so secret dueling club called the Crossed Wands. This is where you'll come in the beginning of the game to learn how to fight, and you can also come back throughout the game to battle people as well. Basically how it's going to work is you've got this thing called the Spell Diamond, and how it works is you've got your basic attack, which will be R2 on PlayStation, RT or left click on Xbox and PC. But if you hold that, then it'll expand the diamond and you can use one of your specific spells. In this diamond, they've got equipped Lumos, Leviosa, Accio, and whatever this is, I think it might be a Pugno. Each move has its own cooldown. As you can see, the cooldown for Lumos is very quick, while the cooldown for Leviosa is not so much. But they explain this is so you don't spam the same move over and over and you'll have to use combos of some sort. You'll also be able to unlock up to 4 spell diamonds throughout the game, so eventually you'll be able to have up to 16 spells equipped at any given time. You'll just quickly swap between the different spell diamonds that you'll be able to customize on your own. After using a training dummy to get the basics down, we'll switch to 3 students who fight back, and I quickly want to point out they all have different wands. Love it. Also, this might be a Weasley. In combat, you won't be the only one using Protego, the ability to deflect. The enemies get that too. You'll notice that they have different colors and they kind of match up with the colors we have down here. This is how you'll break the charm. Each color coordinates together. You've got damage spells, force spells, and control spells. I'm not totally sure which one's damage and which one's force. If I had to guess, I'd say Incendio is damage, Bombarda is force, but control is most likely going to be things like Accio or Leviosa. You can also see this orange halo around the main character's head that kind of looks like Doctor Strange. This is almost like a sixth sense thing that lets you know there's an incoming attack. When you see this, you'll hit triangle or Y, depending on your console controller, and it'll deflect that incoming spell, which is fun because it means it's not automatic and you'll have to actually try to use it. Up at the top of the screen, you can see the enemy health bar of whichever person you're currently targeting, while down here you can see your own health. There's also a little green potion, the Wiggenweld potion, which will obviously be to regen health. There are also these 2 little black bars that they said they wanted to keep secret for now, but if you watch them while they're fighting, they start to charge up when you land combos. So if I had to make an educated guess, I'd say that it's charging up the ancient magic that only we get to use, and it's sort of like an ultimate that we get to do once they're fully charged. Probably by hitting both triggers or L2 and R2 at the same time, and it'll call down lightning or some other overpowered spell that we've seen in some of the other trailers. They leave us a little teaser for what we can expect from the next showcase. It's a little tidbit about them leaving the castle, so it's safe to say that the next thing we'll get is going to be outside of Hogwarts. More specifically, I think they'll touch on flying, as they showed the balloons for a second before panning to the beautiful Scottish scenery. And lastly, they asked James Whitehead, aka Expecto Go, if he has any questions about the game. I kind of worked those things into the video, but I highly recommend going to check out the full gameplay showcase on your own if you haven't already. The entire 45-minute video is full of awesome new information. It's not like your normal gameplay showcase where there's 20 minutes of fluff spread throughout it. They really just dive straight into it and give us exactly what we want for the whole thing. So again, go check it out if you haven't already. Now before I end the video, I just want to apologize for the lack of content lately. There just hasn't been a ton of stuff to cover in the last month or so. Plus, if I'm being totally honest, I've been playing a lot of video games lately. At my core, I'm just a gamer. But that being said, now that we've actually got content to cover, I will be posting more, and even after that dries up, I'll try to keep posting somewhat regularly just so we have something to look forward to each week. I'll definitely stream the game once it comes out, but in the time leading up to that, I'll be streaming maybe Lego Harry Potter, stuff like that, just to, you know, get the gears running. So if you have any interest in that, let me know in the comments if you'd rather I stream here or over on Twitch. But that's all I've got for you today. I will catch you next time, nerds.